so we no longer have any need for you, genetically or physically.
Sweetie, it's the men that hold me back from drop kicking people like you across the floor for some of the foolishness that you say. Y'all women are simply not physically strong enough to hold me back from my unbridled rage. That's some of the foolishness y'all come up with. Like, babe, I know you mean well. For the women, I really don't think you care about the men. But babe, just know that if they didn't exist, all of the people that put up with what you talk about would vanish. There are some girls that exclusively hang out with boys because they put up with some of the stuff that they say that other girls simply would not. I would rather be locked in the center of the earth with the only thing to keep me company is the screams of the tortured souls in hell than live in an all-female planet. I said what I said. By the way, just to add more insult to injury, it's actually really sexist for you to behave that way towards men.
Hey man, she was spitting straight facts. It's so beautiful to see women hold other women accountable, man. That's all we want to see, man. This whole hating men movement is disgusting and it's terrible. And it's really good to see that it's not every single person on the other side. There are plenty of women who are completely rational. It's just that the crazy people scream the loudest online.
Pick a street. You belong there anyway.
We had a perfect life and then my wife cheated. I married my best friend last year. We've been together for 8 years, and it's been the most amazing and fulfilling relationship I've ever had. We had the perfect life. We have the cutest little puppy, and she's the most loyal and loving little creature I've ever met. We've been saving for a house in our dream city, and we were just about ready to pull the trigger this year. We were planning to adopt afterwards. We finally paid off all our student loans. We have amazing friends and hobbies that we're both passionate about. We did everything together. Dates multiple times a week, every weekend for sure, and usually a few during the week as well, road trips and vacations and events. We stayed up late every night cuddling and talking about our future together. We have a million little inside jokes and we sent flirty texts to each other all day. We had an amazing sex life. Every one of our fantasies, every day, often multiple times a day. We made it through graduate school and the pandemic and all sorts of other tumultuous life events together. I work from home, and I took care of all the house chores so she didn't have to. I took care of the dog. I did the training and the walking and the feeding so that she wouldn't have that extra stress. I make 4 times her salary so that she can work her dream job, which doesn't, by itself, make enough to pay rent etc. since we're in NYC. I've never complained about any of this, and being able to do all these things for her always made me so proud and happy, so that she could fulfill her own professional dreams. And she still cheated on me. She cheated with a coworker she's only known for a few months, who is way younger than her, and who is her subordinate at work. I told her I would be willing to work through it in therapy together, that I could forgive her because our life was so amazing. And she told me she was so sorry and would do anything to make things right, that she had never meant to hurt me. But I found out last week that she is still cheating on me with him. And when I confronted her, she became unrecognizable. She was verbally abusive, and yelled at me, and told me that she had never loved me or our puppy. She told me that she had just been using me all along, and now that she'd found someone else, she didn't need me anymore, and that she didn't feel any remorse or guilt and had only pretended to apologize when she got caught the first time so that she could keep using me for money. I should be angry, but I just feel so sorry for her. I'm still going to have an amazing life. I took our dog, my dog now I guess, and moved out. I'm still going to be buying that house, alone now. All my friends, also our friends, and even her friends, have been so supportive. Even her family has been so supportive of me. She's losing a lot of friends. She's losing me, her best friend, at the very least. She might lose her job. She can't afford rent where she's living either way. She always liked expensive shows and clothes and hobbies and going out to eat, and now she can't have any of that. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but she doesn't return my calls anymore, so I guess this is it. I'll never understand what happened or why she gave up on our life together out of nowhere like this.
I mean, you shouldn't feel bad for her at all. She made that decision. Like, she decided to ruin her life and destroy what she had, which was beautiful, just for 20 minutes of pleasure with someone else for no reason whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense. But hey, now she's getting the consequences. Nobody trusts her anymore. Nobody believes her. Her family's abandoned her. You can't feel bad about it. You have to just understand these are the choices you make. It's sad too, because you could tell he still loves her, because he even said, I wasn't mad at her. I just felt sorry for her.
I'm really different because like I'm a vibe, and like I have my own job. I have my own car. I can cook. I can clean. I know how to make chicken Alfredo. That's my favorite dish to make. Also, I'm a Virgo, so you know what that means. I am a freak. Not you being a great listener. Period. It's giving supporter.
Yeah, man, nobody cares. Like, that's good for you. That's really not something we're looking for. Like, don't get me wrong. Those are things that are good, and you should be proud of that. But at the same time, I mean, that's just being an adult.
How is a man good enough to have access to your womb, but he's not good enough to date? How can a man be good enough to get a baby out of you, but he's not good enough to be in a relationship with you? The math will never fucking math when it comes to black women. Y'all will let a man put a baby in you before you demand a ring from him. You will carry his baby and then say he's not good enough for you. What? Make that make sense. You personally, make that make sense.
Yeah, bro, a lot of people got their priorities backwards. You wouldn't date someone, but you'd have a kid with them? That doesn't make any sense.
Oh my God, you really gonna do this? I told you that is your son. Look at him. He look just like you. That's your twin. People in my family always had gray skin. A DNA test? You really gonna do this?
Look, if you have nothing to hide, what's wrong with the DNA test? You should have no qualms about that at all. If you know who the father is, you should have no problem with the DNA test at all. There should be no problem. You probably have something to hide if you're too worried about it.
You ever see the VIP line where the young pretty girls get in for free?
Yes.
Have you ever been in that line? Or I mean, you know that line.
I have.
Huh?
I have.
And then what about the women that weren't in that line?
They have attitudes and they're wondering why they're not getting in as fast.
Hold on. Are they really wondering why, or did they know why?
They probably know.
There's no probably,
sure
man. There's no probably. They know.
Okay.
Tell me why you getting the VIP for free and they can't.
Because we're dressed up. So like when you go out, we're wearing dresses, we wear heels.
Okay, if you look like Precious in heels and a dress, could you get in the VIP?
No.
Okay, so let's not play.
Yeah, man, Kevin Samuels, rest in peace. That brother he knows the game, man. We can't be acting like we don't know why some women get in the club and some women don't. Like, it's just the truth.
You're dealing with a man who's purposeful. You could never be his priority. You know why? Because his purpose to himself, to what he got to do, is always going to be first. He's always going to choose the opportunity that's going to advance his career, which trickles down and benefits you if he's his woman. All men need a woman to remind them of who they are. Because at times we do get lost, we do get misguided, and we lean on our woman. A lot of the times with men, woman is our inspiration. You see men turn their whole lives around. Wow.
Oh man, the boy Joey, man, my favorite rapper, he speaks the truth. A woman should have no problem with a man on his purpose, because a man on his purpose, when he succeeds, it trickles down into you. Once he's successful, you are successful too, because he's gonna want to take care of you. If he's not on his purpose and he spends too much time with you, his purpose won't be successful, and then he'll be broke.
My wife cheated on me and says it's not her fault. This past weekend the kiddo and I went on a 2-day camping trip for some fathers and bonding time. My wife doesn't like camping herself at all anymore and doesn't even appreciate our kid and I going. This is a big hobby for me and I want to share with my son. Usually we argue a lot about my trips, especially if I request to bring our child, but this time she was oddly cooperative about the whole thing, but still insisted she wouldn't join us. I was surprised but didn't question anything because I was so excited that she was finally allowing us to go and I didn't want her to change her mind. I thought we had finally found a common ground and the arguments were ending. I was wrong. We had a great trip and returned back on Monday. We expected to come home to an empty house as my wife should have been at her office for a few more hours. I walked the kid up to his room as he was exhausted and ready for a nap. After, I walked into our bedroom to find a naked man in my bed. I recognized him as my wife's coworker whom I have met numerous times at her work functions. At first I was in disbelief and even wondered if I was in the right house. Then my wife walked out of our bathroom, also naked, and I had no more doubts. She looked petrified when she saw me. I have never been so angry. I yelled at the dude to get out of my house so I could speak to my wife. He grabbed his clothes and left. Then we started arguing. I never yell at my wife, we always want to keep things civil for our son, but I was so hurt I was screaming. Then my wife decides to get defensive, saying it's not her fault that I am barely around and camp so much, even though I hardly go on trips anymore because she doesn't like it. She says that's what drove me to do this, your neglect to this family. I was in tears at that point. I just don't understand how her cheating could be my fault. When I turned around to leave, my son was standing in the doorway and I felt terrible for yelling. I quickly consoled him, but my wife snapped at me again, telling me to get my hands off him. Now she won't speak to me and says I can't see my child until I apologize. Apologize for what? She said we could go on this trip. She planned to cheat and that kills me. It makes me wonder if she has done this before. I'm stuck staying with my parents right now. I don't know what to do. I want to see my son. I'm worried I really scared my child, and of course I would apologize to him, just not my wife, but maybe it is my fault.
It's terrible, man. That lack of accountability, man. When people do that and gaslight you, you just block them because they're toxic people. And they can try to manipulate you over and over again to make themselves feel right, but don't do it, man.
A girl trying to leave you for another guy, you don't let her leave, man. That's when you're supposed to put forth all the effort to show her why she wouldn't leave. Because at the end of the day, you're supposed to worship the ground she walk on. If she felt good enough to walk away, that's your fault. Because at the end of the day, only...
Not gonna lie, he had me in the first half, not gonna lie.
All right, you guys.
Did you really come back with 2 separate checks?
Yeah, that's what I was asking you.
You're really gonna make me pay?
You gonna get some ass?
No.
Well, anyways, man, here go the 2. She's not gonna give you what? No ass. That's crazy.
Man.
Wait.
Are you?
I'm gonna pay the 15. At least show a kneecap.
Fuck you.
See, that's your problem. You don't want to. That's your problem.
He's really making me pay, you guys.
Hey, how you get home?
You're fucking taking me home. You're taking me home.
You got gas?
No.
You want to give that to the ride?
No. You're taking me home.
I think you heat up the food.
All right, you guys. He's not making me. He's making me pay for my food because I won't have sex with him. That's a sad shame. Look at this man. Don't ever go out with him. Don't give him your number. Just fucking run.
Y'all hoes is hungry.
Where have we gone in society where someone pays for their own food and that's an insult? How do we get here?